spiritual meeting today, reading a message from the book, Open the Doors Within. Learn to think and feel for others, to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Learn to understand and enter fully into their lives and hearts, pouring out love and understanding to them, thereby banishing all criticism, judgment, and condemnation. Realize that love transforms and transmutes all bitterness and hatred, and that understanding opens up hearts that have been closed and have remained cold and unresponsive. Put into practice in your life those words. Resist not evil, but overcome evil with good. It is easier said than done, but until it is done and lived, there cannot be peace and goodwill to all humanity. These words have been heard, read, and preached down the ages, but they have not been lived. That is why there are wars, destruction, evil, and hatred in the world. It will go on until humanity learns to live a life and not just talk about it. Learns to make these wonderful words live and vibrate in everyday life.
Let's start our meeting now. As brothers and sisters in humanity, incarnate as all of those in spirit who are with us. In this loving ambient, prepared by those loving beings, Enlightened Spirits, the benefactors, we ask that they may bless us all of us internal of this room, and all of those external to you. And also may we elevate our hearts and minds towards our Master Jesus, and ask him that he may bless us all, including those who are outside and around this room. May the blessings of your life, your peace, be with all of them. And as students, as we all are, great for this opportunity to study once more about the natural laws, about the Spirit's book, we express our gratitude for these unique and special moments in our lives. And in that way, united through our hearts and minds, as learners of the truth, that the Enlightened Spirits are presented to humanity, we start our study today. So be. Welcome all of us here once more. Are going to be the possibility for us to study, as we are always studying together, as learners, as students, as we all are. And we are studying the Spirit's book. And we are on the fourth part, which is the last part of the Spirit's book, entitled Hopes and Consolations. Which book of the codification originated from this fourth part of the Spirit's book? Do we remember? Well, yes, as we always learn. And then here, Hopes and Consolations, we are within the chapter 1, Earthly Joys and Sorrows. So it is almost like referring directly to us who are on earth, and how we can learn regarding hopes and consolations within the relative happiness and unhappiness. Relative happiness or unhappiness, what comes to our minds? Why is it relative happiness? We finished last week on the question 222, but we just go through for us to focus where we ended in order to carry on today. We are in the chapter Hopes and Consolations, and the subtitle Relative Happiness and Unhappiness. What do we understand within the subtitle Relative Happiness and Unhappiness? What comes to our minds?
At this stage of evolution, our definition of happiness and our belief system might be different from one another.
Okay.
So that's why I think it is relative.
Okay. Would I also be right in saying that it is relative because we are immortal beings, but we are learning on earth, but we are not from earth? So it's relative because what we in this stage of our immaturity may understand happiness may not refer to the real happiness. And what we also in this stage of evolution may refer to unhappiness when it's seen from a spiritual perspective. Consider the future life, it may not be unhappiness. Does that make sense? Okay. So we went through last week on the question 922, which was, earthly happiness is relative to the position of each person, and what might suffice for the happiness of one would be misfortune for another. Is there nevertheless a common standard of happiness for all? And the answer that the enlightened beings gave us was, for material existence, it is the possession of all that is necessary. For the moral life, it is a good conscience and faith in the future. Are we here? Do we still remember where we were last week? So material existence, the possessions that are necessary. And of course, the possessions that are necessary will change according to our own evolution as immortal beings, isn't it? And for the moral life, because we are not a physical body, we are actually spiritual and psychological beings, therefore moral spirits is the good conscience and faith in future. Good conscience means for us to learn how we understand God's laws and also behave more and more accordingly, to develop the clarity we have a good conscience and also faith in the future. Whatever we do here in goodness will impact our life in the future. Having in goodness will impact our life in the future. Having said that, question 923. Cynthia, would you like to read it for us, please?
Does activity would be superfluous for one because become a necessity for another, and vice versa, according to the socialization?
Let's explore the question. What do we understand about the question now, if we were to say it through our own words? Doesn't that which would be superfluous for one become a necessity for another? And vice versa, position? How could we reframe it according to our own words, which also could help others who are studying with us?
Take into consideration, like we said, the Spirit said before, that from the material existence, happiness is related to the possession of what is necessary. So is it right to say that what is necessary from one might be lacking for others?
Correct. Considering the level of evolution, considering therefore the needs for each being according to the different stages where we are on. So what is relevant for us today may not be relevant for another one who evolved more than we did already. And what is relevant for us today, as we all are evolving tomorrow, will not be relevant for us. Is that making sense? So let's see what the enlightened beings are telling us. The answer is quite huge. We go through gradually, which is easy for us to make sense. They start by saying, yes, according to your materialistic ideas, your prejudices, your ambitions, and all your absurd notions, for which the future will demand justice when you finally comprehend the truth. If you stay just with that first phrase, what comes to us in our study, in our reflections? They go straight to the materialistic viewpoint, isn't it? Let's stay just with the first phrase. How do we understand it? There are different aspects that they are helping us to consider here in our reflections, isn't it? The first is, according to your materialistic ideas. What comes to our mind with that? What do they refer here? According to our limited ideas, yes, and then your prejudice. What do we understand about your prejudice, which they are saying our prejudice? According to the materialistic, limited ideas of life, focus on the physicality, your prejudice. What do we understand? Preconceived ideas based on the physical body, based on one existence, based on materialistic values only, because we may not have opened up our consciousness in relation to spirituality. And then they carry on, according to your ambitions. What is that reminding us? Selfishness or personal interest, again, or materialistic viewpoint of life, because in that way we relate in life in a very narrow-minded way. instead of considering spirituality as a whole. And all your observed notions for which the future will demand justice when you finally comprehend the truth. What do we understand with that last part now? For which the future will demand justice when you finally comprehend the truth. What comes to our minds? I wonder if they are referring to when we finally in the future, because we are evolving, we are awakening towards the truth day by day through each incarnation. When we finally understand the spiritual reality in relation to the transitory phase that we undergo on earth, we will understand better life, isn't it? Okay, happiness and unhappiness, which we are referring here. And then we carry on, obviously. Those who have had an income of 5,000, who then see it reduced to 10,000, would consider themselves most unfortunate because they cannot maintain the demands of their social status, keeping good horses and servants, gratifying all their passions, etc. What do we understand within this phrase now?
There's again an invitation for us to reflect on our habits and what is really necessary.
Okay.
The examples he gave you here, it seems to be characteristic. We need to know it.
Yes. But also what came to my mind when I was studying at home is, imagine if we are very attached to money and we have 5,000, and that means really a lot to us, because 5,000, and suddenly 40,000 is gone, and I just left with 10,000. How would I feel? I was reflecting on that. Would it be easy for us? I think for the spirit who is more attached to matter or possessions, that could be a great challenge. Because again, our focus will be pretty much here and now. Oh my God, I lost 40,000. And perhaps from a spiritual perspective, as we understand that we always come back to give back what we took in the past, perhaps I was just asked to adjust myself in relation to the natural laws. And even if you feel it challenging, we can go through now revising our concepts, we can go through learning, actualizing our understanding about life, actualizing our understanding about money, actualizing ourselves about losing, because we are very attached. Losing means, oh my God, I'm without it. But when we see it from a spiritual perspective, we are never losing anything that is from our body's physical. Is that making sense? Okay. And then it carries on. They would regard themselves as lacking the necessities. But frankly, are they really worthy of pity, while beside them are the doing of cold and hunger, without a place to lie their head? To be happy, the wise look down, never up. When they do lift their gaze, it is to raise their own soul towards the infinite. How do you understand now the relative happiness and unhappiness in this last phrase here? If you were to say in our own words, what comes to us?
Yeah. It's interesting when it's because when they say to be happy, the wise down, never up, maybe think about the benefactors. Because when they achieve a certain level of perfection, they always come back, let's say, to earth to help us. Mm-hmm. And I think it is the same rationale if you are in a position to help money. And if the invitation is to practice charity, it's always to look down to see in what way we can help with whatever we have in our disposition. Mm-hmm. And not to look in the sense of always looking about money. There's a long test, like you said before.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
I also think that they are saying that to be happy, the ones looking down, you always have to look down on the ones that have way less than you.
Yes.
So then you get upset, yes, I lost, but look, the others, they don't have even half what I still have. Because if you always look up, all the others, you have more and more, and what's more and more. So never be going to be happy. So you have to look to the others.
Exactly. And when we look down, we will see that we actually should have quite a lot in relation to those who are down to us. And that helps us also to expand our way of training ourselves as enlightened spirits already educated themselves to always look down and help those who are behind us, and less looking forward and comparing ourselves with those in front. Not that we cannot look forward with those who are in front of us. If you look forward those who are more advanced than us in terms for us to grow, to promote us, to stimulate us, that is positive, but not in terms of having more or wanting more things, that we become more attached.
And learning to be grateful as well.
Grateful.
Looking like that simple Chris said, if I look down and see, I might think what I have is not enough. But why am I thinking this? I do have necessary. So just to try to...
Yes, that those are our ambitions or our preconcepts that we bring with us. As we just read the question that we finished last week, 922, when the spirits say, on the material level, what we need in terms of be relatively happy is the necessary. The question is, what is necessary for us? Because sometimes we have much more than the necessary, what we need, but we still are complaining because of our personal interests, and we disturb ourselves about it. And also, if we look forward that we are beings in evolution, that each existence, when we come back, is granted the possibility for us to simplify ourselves in terms of habits and needs. If we are suffering, surely I'm not upgrading myself within the situation where I am. Because if I came back with a program for me to grow, then I may have exactly what I have and probably much more. Is that making sense? So if you're not happy, I'm invited to revise my belief systems. As immortal being, not as a physical being. That is important because we have different definitions of that. Is that making sense? Okay. So we move on to the next one then. The question 924. There are misfortunes which do not depend on the way we act, in which afflict the most righteous person. Isn't there a way to keep ourselves from such misfortunes? What is this question about? What are misfortunes? Let's imagine those who may be studying with us, they never heard about it. What are misfortunes?
A temporary condition that we may think is not favorable to us.
Okay, a temporary condition that we may think is not favorable to us or is challenging to us, or we may, in our state of mind where we are, think that is not fair, that is happening to us, okay? So there are misfortunes which do not depend on the way we act, in which afflict the most righteous person. Isn't there a way to keep ourselves from such misfortunes? What is the second part of the question referring to?
We can avoid
the misfortunes. Can we? Can I live a life without problems? Yes, in a simple way it would be. Very childish, isn't it? Oh my God, then I would be happy. And we learn with those who are more evolved than us, then we are really unhappy. From a spiritual perspective, yes? Because that shows our immaturity or laziness and also our ignorance in relation to life in itself. So let's see what the benefactors tell us. If you want to progress, you must resign yourselves to endure misfortunes without complaining. However, you will always find consolation within your own conscience, which gives you the hope of a better future, provided you do what is needed to obtain it. What do we learn now? The first part, when they say, if you want to progress, what are the spirits referring to when they talk to us? Because I see the question and answers as a talk that the enlightened spirits are having with us or us with them. What do they refer when they say, if you want to progress?
I think behind this idea of this wanting of not having problems is the procrastination, or we say moral laziness. We don't want to progress. I don't know if it's conscious or unconscious, but then start complaining, okay, I don't have any problems anymore.
Okay.
There's no progress without going through those trials and expiations in the stage we are now.
Okay. Anything else? Would it be also right in saying that they say, if you want to progress, they are referring to our own free will or own responsibility? Because do we all progress? All of us. We want to now progress. In order to be happy or relatively happy, we need to activate or train our free will in a responsible way. Be willing to progress in this existence. Be willing. Because the benefactors cannot do that for us. So we can say, it's neither God who created us with love and loves us cannot activate that. We need to choose that. So as soon as we engage in the willingness to progress, sooner we are working towards developing real happiness. Real happiness, bear in mind, doesn't mean that we don't have challenges. We will have plenty of. Does that make sense?
It said, if you want to evolution, it's correct.
Yes, if you want to evolve, yes. You must resign yourselves and endure misfortunes without complaining. What are they trying to teach us now with the second part of the first phrase? You must resign yourself. What do we understand by that?
Accept what comes.
So what do we need, we as immortal beings, what do we need to develop? Two great virtues. And they work together. Which are? Resignation and obedience. Resign. Yes, we studied that at the gospel. Resignation and obedience. Resignation, because again, I need to resign myself in relation to what the Creator wants me to learn in this stage in my life. Obedience, in order to train my mind, my heart, that may your will be done above mine. Is that making sense? Yeah. And endure misfortunes without complaining. What is that part teaching us? Responsibility. Why do we complain? Because when they say here without complaining, so they know that we do complain, isn't it? Why do we complain in our journey of evolution or our journey of progress?
Maybe within one, because we don't want to make the effort necessary to change. Or it could be because I always think that the problem I have is someone else, because of someone else, the way that someone else is acting, and not something that I am doing.
Okay. Could also be our ignorance. Could also be our pride and selfishness. Could also be our irresponsibility, as well said. I always blame somebody else for actually what I feel and think internally. Anything else? Or vanity, could that also be? Or personal interests? Yeah. So when we are complaining, actually, deeper down, we are invited to reflect and look on our own mechanisms of rebelliousness. Yeah. When we re-educate ourselves, as we all are in our journey of evolution, we will stop complaining. Why? Why will we stop complaining? Would it be right in saying that we are growing, progressing, evolving, and through that process we learn to love ourselves, we learn to respect ourselves as divine creatures, we learn to take full responsibility for our internal reality, we learn to activate and exercise our free will according to God's will, and that way our complaining process will diminish. Is that making sense? As more immature we are, as more infantile we are, more we are complaining, or more ignorant, or more selfish and prideful. As more as we learn to become humble and charitable, and understand that charitable, be benevolent towards everyone, indulgent towards the imperfections of others, and forgiveness. When we exercise that, surely we are operating our values internally, and we will eradicate complaints.
It is interesting in this because even if in the literature on Earth, the materialistic theories, we can learn this endurance and learn to go through trial as early as 4 years old. Because I was reading about one experiments, and I know we are all mortal spirits, but what the psychologists find out that children, when they are 3 years old, they don't understand how to educate the free will. But from 4 years old, they actually can start educating the free will. So I think we can do it if we want to.
We can.
And it makes such a difference later on in life.
It does. We are under the sub-icon relative happiness and unhappiness. If that is introduced from that young age on, of course, it's made a huge difference for the spirit later on in his life. But if we went through our childhood and we didn't have that input, never mind. We can learn now because we know that we are immortal beings, that our parents did the best that they could. Those who are moms or becoming moms can do that now. Yeah. And also we are learning, perhaps in the future when we are moms, we still can help those that God presents us in terms of helping them. But yes, as soon as we engage, helping to mold, to train towards goodness, is better for us individually. We will suffer less and less in sense of suffering from the ego state of mind, although we still will go through great challenges, natural. Some of them are part of our re-education process. Others are part because through the pathway of progress or evolution, we are facing new experiences that we never faced previously. Is that making sense? So it's not always towards the wrong that I did in the past. Partially is because I'm redoing my past, but partially also is because we are and will be facing new experiences that we never faced before, naturally, because we are growing, progressing. Okay. However, you will always find consolation within your own conscience, which gives you the hope of a better future, provided you do what is needed to obtain it. If you were to develop now the second part in this phrase, what comes to your mind? If you were to say, in which way do we find consolation? What would we say? You will always find consolation within your own conscience. The spirits are very clear. Always. Why? We are under the chapter hopes and consolations.
I think it's because even when we go through those challenging situations and we have a goal to achieve, we know, let's say, we know we are immortal spirits, we know that everything's happening for a purpose. So this, having this belief, it is a kind of consolation.
Okay. Understanding life from an immortal perspective. Understanding that we are not a physical body, sooner or later we will free ourselves, but we carry on our life and we carry on in the process of progress, and whatever we haven't learned, whatever we need to go through in order to progress, we cannot avoid that in our life. Is that making sense? Having that understanding, that brings consolation to our hearts and minds, because we cannot run away. We can postpone if we choose it, but then we are increasing the unhappiness. But as more as we understand, well, I don't know what I did in the past so far, and I don't need to know. What I do know is that whatever experience life is presented to me, it is for me to progress. It is for me to evolve, even if it's tough, even if it's challenging. But changing, upgrading the way that we think and re-educating our emotions and looking forward. Sooner or later, we are out of the physical body. What we take with us is the experiences that we conquer in going through with resignation as learners of ourselves. Is that clear? Yeah. Okay. Moving on then, the question 925. Chris, would you like to read it for us?
Why does God bless with the use of wealth certain individuals who do not seem to deserve them?
Let's explore it. What is the question about? How could we, as we always do, refer it according to our own words, which sometimes can also help others who are studying with us in spirit. Why does God bless with the goods of wealth certain individuals who do not seem to deserve them? How would we reframe the question? What is the question actually referring to? What would we say?
I was thinking if Kardec is questioning the merit, is wealth or is it meritorious? Like, is it related to the level of evolution? Why some people have it even if they don't seem to be worth it?
Okay. And my question would be, from which perspective would certain people not be worth of it?
because I was thinking about, I thought the same question, but I don't know what it would be his perspective, because it's not clear in the question. I would say, let's say that some people don't have moral qualities, but still they are quite
Yes,
positive.
and why would that be if that is the case? That some people may not have moral qualities and yet they are blessed with the wealth. Why would that be?
Maybe it's a trial for them to learn to deal with that in a good way to make balance.
Precisely, there would be a trial and sometimes a close respiration, because we study the gospel when we consider the experiences that we all go through in richness and fullness. The richness is the highest trial for us, because we fail quite often in those experiences. But yes, if that happens, it's because the spirit was granted with the possibility now to learn to that. And learn what in this trial? What do we learn when we go through these trials? To be charitable, so in order for us to free ourselves from selfishness, what else? George, I have a lot of money, I can just sleep.
To be active in life.
To be active and productive in life towards goodness for everyone. Yes, again, helping us to get out of the selfishness. Anything else? To promote goodness in the world. Because if I have resources, I can promote good resources, good projects that help others. We start in the first question looking down. Those who are more evolved, they always look down in helping to raise those who are behind. And there are so many options. Hospitals, schools, that we are so lucky on earth. Does that make sense? Older people, people with deficiency, which also need special needs, special care. And we are all brothers and sisters in humanity, as more as we open our eyes and look around. So if we may bear in mind, I have nothing to do with that, that is not correct, because we are all interconnected through God, through the love of God.
I think if we change the lenses, we can see every single experience as an opportunity or a talent given from God, poverty, wealthy, or being cheaper.
Yes.
Yes. And change the way it happens when it's all times.
Precisely. Because when we refer about richness, which is really to develop charity, we learn to be charitable, learn to share, not just for me. When we are in the opposite, without resources, we are, or we asked to go through that, probably because we have been with wealth and we didn't know how to use it. We are very selfish. So we demanded, or we have the natural need to come without, so that we learn to use it wisely. So that we learn also to be humble, isn't it? To be more fraternal. And also quite often as we learn, when we come with wealth, because if you have wealth, you may not need to work, you can be lazy, you can be procrastinating, you don't need to make any effort. And in that way, for the spirit, if you go through in that way, is a very low level of incarnation. Does that make sense? Then we need to come back, and also the other ones that you mentioned, that we need to work. There's no way. I need to wake up early, I need to work all full day, that I can sustain my family, can sustain my children, to put them in the school, and then I discipline myself in timing, and all of those that I may not took advantage in the previous experience. So everything in any experience is always to promote the spirit, it's never to punish it. And as we see here, the enlightened beings say, it looks like a favor to those who do not see beyond the present, but are well aware of the fact that wealth is a trial that is usually more dangerous than poverty. Anything else that we have to add here? It's interesting when they start at the beginning, isn't it? It looks like a favor to those who do not see beyond the present. So they are referring, it looks like a privilege, isn't it? For materialistic viewpoint, how can that be? This person doesn't deserve it. It's so lucky. I'm working so hard, and look where I am, and they don't do anything. Well, the contrary sometimes. They are problem makers sometimes, isn't it? But that is a reductionist view of life. Beyond the physical level, we do not know who that spirit is, where he or she comes from, what were the previous experiences, and what is the program for the current existence. Yeah? Anything else that we are here? As you well said, Chris, is a trial when we go through, yes, and understanding trial in a constructive way, not something negative that is imposed on us by God. No, God is love, and everything that He grants us in terms of possibility to progress and evolve comes from His love. So trials means different experiences that we attract or we ask or we implore to go through to gain experience in order for us to promote. Yeah? Clear? Question 926. Because it creates new necessities, isn't civilization the source of new afflictions? How is that question coming now within the chapter Hopes and Consolations, Relative Happiness and Unhappiness? Question 926. Because it creates who? Civilization, isn't it? And who is civilization? Us, all of us, yes? These immortal beings. So which kind of new necessities do we create that may create new afflictions?
We can see that the intellectual and material progress comes first, then the moral progress. So I think this is what creates new necessities that sometimes are not real. A lot of them are not real.
Yes, I was just thinking, because if you look in terms of progress, because it creates new necessities, isn't civilization the source of new afflictions? But if you consider progress and evolution, shouldn't that not ease up afflictions? Are you following me?
Yeah, it should.
But,
No, it should. But I think as we usually we progress before intellectually and not morally, we don't develop the again. But ethic practice.
yes, I think
It will
you
take a while.
Precisely.
So that's why we go through this process where we create a lot of necessities.
Precisely.
that are not real.
Precisely. You touched on the intellectual and moral difference. Again, when we see and analyze ourselves as immortal beings, but when we see or perceive ourselves with a physical level, we may really give a lot of importance to the intellectual values and not consider the moral ones, and then we create afflictions. But it's natural that we go through a phase of crisis, let's say, of adjusting our values from the intellectual, which needs to be upgraded, and also on the behavior, then follow the new upgrade, so that we can change our emotional dimension, where the moral values also are impacting us. Then we will become wiser, more understandable about God's laws, about the laws of cause and effect. What I do will impact my life in the present, in the future. We will have a great understanding why we go through trials, that is not a punishment from God, that God is love and always loved us, but He gave us the faculty of freedom that we need to learn in the re-education process to use it wisely, and that way also we promote ourselves forward, understanding in this stage of evolution where we are, is impossible to go through the experiences without certain afflictions, without certain challenges. It's impossible. We all have them, and we will still have for quite some time. The only thing what changes is, as more irresponsible and immature, more we complain and project onto others. As more responsible and adult, as more we bring the focus back and we take responsibility and change within, but we can have control, because we don't have control of external elements, but internally, yes. And that is the wisdom when we go through the trials, that we rescue ourselves from ourselves internally, even if we cannot change externally. Is that clear? Let's see what the Enlightened Spirits are telling us here. The misfortunes of this world result from the artificial needs you create for yourselves. Let's explore that first phrase. What do the spirits mean when they say the misfortunes of this world? What comes to our minds? The misfortunes of this world result from the artificial needs you create for yourselves. What are the enlightened beings teaching us that we who are incarnate now can learn in order to progress through this existence?
There are the natural needs that we have in order for us to live and survive. And on top of that, we have all the artificial ones which is sometimes like tenfold. It's so much more than what we actually need. And I think that all of those come from our lack of development of our conscience or from our egocentric point of view.
Okay. Anybody else? What we understand the world result from artificial needs you create. They are direct and indirect responsibility to us, isn't it? Which kind of examples of artificial need could we remember here now? What are artificial needs in this stage of our evolution on Earth as immortal beings?
I need 4 cars, I need 2 houses.
Okay, 4 cars. Okay, 3 houses. Yeah. I need to be constantly traveling around.
Yeah.
What else? I need to eat in a certain way. If that is not happening, I'm unhappy. Like children. I need to have certain amount of money, otherwise I get stressed. Yeah. So our faith is very small. Other aspects of artificial needs. Feeling secure when we have money. Is that an artificial need? So we are not against the money, but if I become dependent on that, that is not real, because sooner or later my money may vanish. I may be in an experience that my house falls down and is burned and I lose everything. So if my security is on that level, is that real or artificial? Artificial. Yeah. So everything artificial, when we look from a spiritual perspective, are all references that refer in case something happens to me on the physical level, in my house, my car, whatever, my work, if that vanishes suddenly, where will they be? Because the real values are the ones within. That even if I lose my house, even if I lose my money, even if I lose my partner, even if a child dies, because you know that it doesn't die, I keep still with hope. Hope and consolations. I still find consolation within in understanding God's laws. Yeah? Is that clear? And when they also say you create for yourselves, the enlightened beings are referring to directing again the responsibility for us, isn't it? You created, as they are saying here. And then they carry on, people who know how to limit their desires, seeing without greed whatever might lie beyond their means, spare themselves many disappointments in this life. How do we understand that phrase? What do we understand when they say people who know how to limit their desires? What do the Spirit mean by this?
Sufficient.
What is sufficient for us?
They're aware of sufficient. But they don't want more.
Okay. I think the challenge is for us to know what is the measurement of sufficient, isn't it? What could we consider to analyze ourselves in that way? As you said, what is sufficient to me is correct, but what would I take into account to analyze that?
If people around you are going without something, and you have too much of it,
Okay.
then in your immediate surrounding, there is a need.
Okay.
So if you have contributed to it, then it's okay.
Okay. Could we also be right in saying, in analyzing ourselves daily, on daily basis, where we are, what we think and feel in relation to our lives, and also to understand where is the focus of our existence? Would that help us also? Because if you become aware that my focus may be more on a materialistic viewpoint, could that help me to re-educate my desires? Does that make sense? Could that help? Or not?
Now, I was just thinking this, when they say people who know how to limit their desires, and I know that we learn to limit our desires. One of the ways is to learn to don't have instant gratification. It's one of the process.
Okay.
But what is behind
The instant gratification?
yes,
The inner child. Do you know children? Mommy wants it now. isn't it? So the behind the gratification,
We are adults, we are talking about ourselves, it's not about you. We are also children, you know? We are just children in big bodies.
all right. So, Cynthia, what is behind gratification? It is our infant or immature aspect or inner child. So we need to learn not to satisfy that inner child, neither neglect it, but to encounter with it and re-educate, restructure it. I feel I want this now, and then explain to me. Actually, I can notice, I sense this desire, but according to what I'm learning, I don't need that. And if I want to progress as an immortal being, I know that sooner or later I need to re-educate myself anyway. Therefore, I choose to do it now. Because as more as I say no to that desire, which I don't need, quicker I build the new values, which simplifies my way of being. Is that making sense? Is that clear, Cynthia? So, yeah.
Do you have a desire to be different than who you are?
To be different.
Than who you are?
Yes, I think this is what I said when you were coming in. What do we understand about desires? Because can we reflect desires from an ego state of mind and from a self state of mind? Can we? Yes or no? Yes, I think here they are referring to the ego's desire, aren't they? Because they say people who know how to limit their desires. So they are referring to our desires that we already built in previous existences or in these existences, but limit means finding the balanced way, freeing ourselves from the excesses, but we also can have the desire or the willingness to promote ourselves, to improve ourselves, to overcome our desires that we see as a immortal being. How do I want to meet myself tomorrow? No, it won't be in the same way as I am. So therefore, I may increase that willingness to re-educate myself. And that promotes me. That helps us to progress and evolve. Yeah? Is that clear?
Could we be desiring to be sort of spiritual and good? Is that also a hindrance? Desiring to be anything.
Anything, what do you mean design to be
In a
anything?
sense, sometimes people do a lot of good and they help a lot of people around them, but it's more for them. So the desire to do good now is not at the forefront of their goodness, even though there is still a benefit.
Mm-hmm.
But such a desire is not selfish.
No, it's not. Because if you depart from where we are, all of us, as the immortal beings say, but to furthest degree, we know a stage of evolution, we still are very selfish. And from where we are, in order to become charitable beings, in essence, without any secondary gains or intentions, we will not move from one stage to another. We may start with intentions, I do good, but I want to be recognized or whatever. As more as I go through and learn, gradually I will free myself from those secondary gains, from those egoistic gratifications, because the meaning behind, as more as we meet with our essence, is do good for the sake of doing good. We will not be, we don't have any need on the ego level anymore to be recognized, to be seen, whatever. We do it because that comes from the goodness within us.
I think sometimes if you don't recognize that and you're still doing good, in fact you can do harm to someone. So it's important to recognize that, because giving something away doesn't necessarily mean you are helping someone. It can harm them.
Yes, you can help somebody else to become dependent on you, isn't it? And then you're not promoting you, neither the other person. And that is a gray area that we go through gradually as we evolve, because when we are very selfish, that also means that we are very needy, emotionally speaking, correct? Because behind the selfishness is the neediness. And then as more as we grow, mature, we learn to love ourselves. Can we help you?
What's going on here today?
As more as we carry on helping ourselves to grow, to mature, and through self-love and through self-respect, we will again build a different psychological and emotional structure, that we have a different understanding. So when I'm in needy position, my help will be in one level, which could be negative. As more as we mature, we know more what is good for us, and also what will be good for the other. But when we are needy, usually we will have the other depending on us, and that is not real help, although it's better than nothing, because we go through stages of evolution. As more as we mature, as more as we learn to love us from the soul level onwards, from the essence level onwards, that reference how to help all others will change. The reference of help will be more, how can I promote myself and the other for the other to become independent? Here, in this sense, may be more dependent, but sometimes we still are helping. It's not black and white. Does that make sense? So we see for us in Spiritism, we have Jesus as our master guide in the world to help us. And he loves us unconditionally, but he never did for us what we need to do. And that is what we will learn gradually also to extend to others. But we first need to mature our inner self, or heal ourselves through the maturing process. And we all will learn sooner or later, more and more. But as more as we evolve, having said that, we naturally have a natural need to engage more and to help other people. When we see the superior beings that all this earth has already, in different cultures and different spirituality pathways, those who evolve more spiritually, because they free themselves from selfishness and personal interest, naturally they will be more available to help the community, to help society. They have a greater impact. Does that make sense? Okay? Because we are all one family in the universe, isn't it? So as more as we free ourselves from my family, my culture, my religion, or whatever it is, my mind, us, more we are open. And also more we mature, more we free ourselves from the differences that we still may have, which is pretty much rooted in selfishness, isn't it? Does that make sense? Okay. I lost myself. Did we go up to the end? No, we said desires. Then I go through people who know how to limit their desires. We explored. Seeing without greed. What is that? Seeing without greed. Do we have examples how we see with greed? What kind of examples would we have here? Seeing without greed whatever might lie beyond their means. Spare themselves many disappointments in this life. What do we learn with this phrase that the benefactors are presenting to us? Are they referring, when they say seeing, are they referring to the physical eyes, to the physical vision, or not? Seeing without people who know how to limit their desires, seeing without greed, whatever may lie beyond their means. What is that? What do we think?
Our belief system.
Our belief systems. Okay. So seeing without greed, what comes to our minds with that? Are they referring to our inner internal perceptions or not? Whatever might lie beyond their means. So is that an invitation for a deeper reflection? To find out our deep belief systems, our deep perceptions of life, of ourselves? Does that make sense? Themselves many disappointments, spare themselves many disappointments in this life. What kind of disappointments can we free ourselves from if we limit our desires, if we see without greed? Which kind of disappointments can we free ourselves from?
Envy.
Envy. What else?
Loss.
Loss? What do you mean by loss? Loss a dear one?
No, just loss of
Okay.
you know.
Okay, frustrations, deceptions, afflictions which could come for any loss if you're not prepared to understand it from a transpersonal perspective. Yeah? And
Sorry,
no, carry on.
I was going to say greed is an interesting thing because I remember many years ago, I was free for a few years, and someone gave money to my mother. They owed me to give it to me, and say, for example, it was 8,000. And then when she gave it to me, then she said to me, "I'll give some for charity." And I always give, but she said you must have got 10%. And then I consider myself quite generous. But then I noticed something inside of me, didn't want to give because I was free for so long, so I needed that money. But then when I reflected on it, I thought to myself, if she had said to me, "I'll give you 8,000, but you give me 10%, I would have agreed straight away. So it's quite an interesting thing to notice in myself, and since then I was.
Excellent. It's very, very well, and indeed the observation that you became aware.
Because you don't know what I'm saying, where you are greedy, it's a moment-to-moment thing.
Precisely. We will choose to observe if we are greedy or not in the experiences, and if we are aware within the experiences. Because it's very easy to talk about, isn't it, if we are not in the situations. But in the situations, then we will, if we become aware of ourselves, we can see that easily. Is it easy for me to take my money or part of my money to help in another cause or whatever we can ask ourselves, or to help with my partner or whatever? Or if someone is asking money for me, where I am, what is coming up internally, as you well said, through your experience. Anything else? The wealthiest are really those who have the fewest needs. What is that phrase saying?
Still being content.
Okay.
Whatever is in your life is in your life.
Okay. We all will be going through this need. We are under the title Relative Happiness and Unhappiness, understanding always that if we attach our values of happiness or unhappiness, of what is, let's say, artificial in a sense that we really don't need in order to be happy, because otherwise people who are deprived of it, they would be really unhappy. And the natural laws of life do not work in that way. Although, if we are as immortal beings in a very selfish state of mind or prideful, and we have a lot in past existences, now I may find it very, very challenging to come back and to resign myself in relation to the new experience. But from a deep psychological analysis, we don't need things to be happy. We need to train our internal reality in relation to the natural laws. And of course, we are on Earth, we still need some aspects for us to live, but the importance that we give to it, that shows if we are attached or not attached to it. Okay? Moving on then, now for the still the same question, it's quite long here. You aim with the pleasures of the people who appear to be the fortunate ones of this earth, but do you happen to know what is in store for them? If they use their wealth for themselves, they are selfish and will suffer a reversal. Pity them instead. God sometimes allows the wicked to prosper, but their prosperity is not to be envied, because they will pay for it with bitter tears. If the righteous are unfortunate, it is because they are going through a trial that will be credited to them if they bear it with courage. Remember the words of Jesus, "Blessed are those who suffer, for they shall be comforted." So what do we learn through this paragraph now? As we read, as we heard.
What is it that comforts us?
Sorry?
When they speak about the comfort, what is the thing that comforts us?
What comforts us? Blessed are those who suffer, for they shall be comforted. We have in the Gospel according to Spiritism a chapter that talks about the blessing here. Comforted is if we are, as learners in the universe, going through all trials or experiences in order which we need to progress, to evolve, and we go through the sufferings, or in other words, challenges, and we are resigned we are comforted from the soul level onwards, because we do understand that that is a natural process, that we need to undergo certain experiences in order to get new experiences, in order to evolve towards new ones. But if I don't have that understanding, I may find it very challenging. Why me to go through? Or if I may be in a very egocentric state of mind, I may also become very rebellious. Or if I still in a state of mind which is based very on the materialistic level, I may also question myself on the ego level. When we say they shall be comforted, is from the self level onwards, where the spirit already connects with the essence and is capable gradually more and more to activate those values that we all bring within. Then it makes sense, we understand, we have explanations internally. And resignation and obedience, which are great virtues, they really free ourselves from pride and selfishness. Is that clear? What else comes to us here? Anything else apart from what we said? So here when they say God sometimes allows the wicked to prosper, but their prosperity is not to be envied, because they will pay for it with a bitter tears. It's all about learning. God gives us a free will for the choices that we made, but if my choices are against the natural laws, then of course I will be dealing with the consequences as a learner, to learn sooner or later to make different choices, because I learned in that way it's hurting me. In that way, I'm not cooperating to progress. In that way, I'm not involving. Therefore, now that I'm studying more the natural laws, I choose and move on. Understanding always, God is love. He does not punish anyone. But He re-educates us through the natural laws in life that we actually bring within. Clear? So in that way, we are coming to the end of our study today. And as always, we finish it with a final prayer. In these moments, that we are united towards goodness, involved in vibrations of tenderness, of love, of brotherhood. All of us here present, ourselves and all of those in the spirit, is students of the natural laws of life. With our hearts, we join for these precious moments in our existence, for these precious moments in our evolution, followed by those who love us, who inspire us, who invite us all to study, to reflect, and to choose freely to become better in every sense in our lives. We are all children of God. We are all essentially beings of goodness, beings of love, granted the possibility, either incarnate or not, to carry on our journey towards the infinite. May we feel encouraged, animated, and motivated to walk a step forward, even if we do mistakes. They are also learnings for ourselves. We ask the good spirits who are right here with us, the enlightened ones, to bless us with their love, with their peace and with their love. And united as brothers and sisters in humanity, we carry on our journey towards the light, today and always. So good.